This episode will probably contain a lot of landscaping and a lot of adding environmental details to my seaside town because I found out last episode that modifying the surroundings of your builds really helps in making things look good. So I'm adding stony details, I'm adding mud, and it's all part of my learning experience when it comes to building because that's part of why I started playing Minecraft again. And it's part of what makes Minecraft fun. These drowns, though, they're not fun. Anyway, we have to take a look from this place at different angles, even underwater, when it comes to thinking of things to add to this seaside town. And part of what I thought I should add was a custom tree. And I even made this guide in the back for textures, which I completely forgot about, but thankfully I was able to rectify my mistakes. And of course, it's important to look at this from different angles to make sure that what I'm building actually looks good. As you can see here, it's not actually a good build right now, but we can always fix it. And this, by the way, is probably my favorite view of this seaside town. Anyway, building this has been really fun. It's been a fun process. I've just been opening YouTube on my phone and listening to some videos, one of which was this video about Fear and Hunger 2, Termina. It was really interesting. I have no idea what that game... I had no idea what that game was. And then I watched the video and I found it interesting. Anyway, I'm just adding the leaves here, which honestly I might have to redo or learn a little bit more about because I feel like I struggled here and I haven't really perfected it yet. You will see in the future, but I'm also adding these fences and some slabs to simulate some of the branches and the woody bits that poke out of the canopy of the tree. And yeah, I'm just really interested in finding out a way to make this look better because look at that, it's not perfect yet. And it does look like a tree, but it's not perfect yet. It doesn't align yet with what I want this to be. But in the future, I can always edit this, I can always modify this tree and make it better. And now we are here, back at our seaside town, and I am finally doing the intro to this video. And of course, in the background, you can also see my lighthouse. It's gorgeous, is it not? But yeah, what I'm planning on doing today is continuing on the landscaping, on the editing of the roads, and adding more trees. So yeah, expect to see some changes to this small seaside town by the end of today's episode. Hopefully I get to do all of that. I don't know, I never really plan these things out. I just do whatever I want, really. So yeah, let's get started. And of course, by getting started, I meant getting rid of the leaves. Because in the first place, I didn't like them, but also because I just enjoy doing the same thing over and over again, like falling down from this tree. It's very important that you do that. It's part of the process. It was actually kind of frustrating. But no worries, once I was able to get rid of the leaves, I was also able to expand upon the branches, make the tree look a little bit better with the branching and, just the woody stuff. I was able to also make this swing a little bit better placed, like placed a little bit better with the branch supporting it because, the last time it was there, it was like hanging off leaves, which was not really structurally sound. So yeah, and here I'm just see, it looks so much better that way, and at the same time it's a much darker branch because it's in the shadow. My brain is just amazing sometimes, and yeah, I started feeling really confident, so I added the leaves again. And hopefully this one will last more than 5 minutes in this video. So fingers crossed, hopefully I actually end up liking them. And spoiler alert, I think I ended up liking them a little bit, even though It's not gonna be perfect, but it's a good try. And part of it, or part of this building process, is just me trying things. I'm trying to learn, and I'm learning a lot of things. So, like, successful project this is. I don't know why I turned into Yoda, but yeah, this involved a lot of going back up and down that tree, looking at this from multiple angles and making sure that it looked good, because I don't want to do this again for a third time. And of course, from my favorite view, it's looking like it's gonna be good. So I ended up just placing more leaves, making sure that the view from below is actually good. So I'm covering it up with a few more leaves. And then, of course, making sure that the other branches also have leaves. So yeah, that's a lot of things to do. And I seem to have an obsession with looking at this tree from multiple angles because most of my footage is just me running around this tree looking at things. And I'm not gonna lie, I actually like the way this looks, although I don't like the way that there is like a hole in the middle. It looks like a donut or something. So that's gonna be filled in. But one thing that I actually like about this idea is that there is a gap between the leaves or between the canopy, because that's actually real. I think it actually exists with like trees. And I want to make sure that this tree looks like sunlight can actually penetrate through the leaves. It's not gonna be like a very thick canopy or whatever it's called. But yeah, here it is from my favorite view, and honestly, I'm happy. I'm happy with this. Okay, I said I was satisfied with this tree, but apparently I'm not, because I changed a few things again with this tree, as you can see. I changed the leaves again. But apart from that, I did a few other things. I added a bit more shading to the floor, the ground. I added a bit of like darker blocks, just tough bricks and smooth tough, because they really fit in with the textures that I already had going on. And they added like a bit more depth. I think it just makes the place look way, way better by forcing shadows, which I'm also doing here. I'm adding shadows to the tree once again. I'm changing a few of the textures that I added because I thought that it needed a bit more of a shadow down here, because a shadow makes sense right at that place. So that's exactly what I did. I placed blocks where I thought there should be shadows, and then I looked at the tree from afar, and then if things look good, then they look good. So that's what I did. It's kind of easy though to imagine where the darker blocks would go, especially with this like really basic shape. Shape? No. Really basic idea of a tree. And I ended up liking the things that I've done. Of course, a few other things were changed later on. Like, I thought that it needed a bit more, like, the highlights needed to be brought down a little bit, things like that. But looking at it from up here, it definitely looks good. I was worried for a second here because some leaves were popping out of the tree again, but it turns out it was just a different tree in the background. Whew. Apart from that, though, I felt like with trees that are this old and this big, their roots are also pretty big. So I decided, like, hey, why not experiment with like a root that escapes the island almost? Like you can see it from the side of the island, like it's poking through the rocks and everything, and it is just going down, and that's what I hope this will achieve, but I'm not really sure that it can achieve that because the blocks that I used to make up the roots, they are kind of similar to the color of the terrain, like the mud and everything, but still we will try to make this work. And I think this kind of introduces us to a different view that we could have of the island and of this tree, which is from down below, right at the fishing docks, which is exactly this view. And I do think it looks good, but there are still a couple of changes that we can add, making the roots even thicker, adding a bit more, protrusions up above the ground, because hey, we're trying to make the roots bigger. So, yeah. And also, we're trying not to make it blend in with the rest of the tree. So, it's gonna be lighter. And overall, I'm just really excited to get on with this because this view looks amazing. Like, once the church is completed at the background, it's gonna be framed so perfectly by that tree. And it's awesome. Well, it seems like there's space for another custom tree in this episode, so I made another one, right at the entrance of the town. To be honest, making this custom tree is so much easier compared to when I made the earlier one this episode, because that one was so big. This one is way smaller in comparison, and also I kind of have a bit of experience already working with the earlier custom tree, and I think that really helped because my decision making process, my thoughts on where I should place the blocks, it all feels so much easier now to just figure out where the branches go and how the shape is formed and things like that. And I also already have like an idea on what the textures should be, and so this is probably just much easier than the earlier custom tree. But still, a lot of thought went into this tree because, in the first place, I had always planned a custom tree to be here in this vicinity, in this area, well, basically welcoming everyone who wants to visit this small seaside town. What I want this custom tree to accomplish is, I wanted to frame the view that you will have entering this town. So, figuring out the leaves was also way easier on this one because I knew I wanted the leaves, or like, the shape of the tree to be a little bit more rounded with the leaves. And I didn't really care too much about having like everything covered with leaves. So, yeah, that was way easier. But what I cared about was having the framing correct, like having it down to how I want it to be. So that's why I added another branch right here. It's a lower hanging branch, which should frame our view as we enter the town. And right here we have the tour. This tree looks good, especially when you enter. It's like really close to you, it's really close to the camera, so that's really good. But I also wanted to show the earlier tree that we made. So I'm going through this street, and then wow, it peeks out. Like, it looks really good. Like, it makes me question myself, like, am I secretly talented? Like, and of course, we're taking a different view at our second custom tree ever, and I think it looks good even from down there. I think I did a great job making the custom trees and learning all about it without actually learning. Like, I did not consult any learning resources. I should probably do that next time, but this was so much fun to figure out on my own. And that's it for today. That's everything I can do for today because I don't want to make any more trees. I feel like the creative juices have kind of run out. So let me rest for a bit. I've been really enjoying Minecraft, especially making this like custom tree has been really enjoyable, and as well as like I just really enjoy building now. Like, it's why I came back to Minecraft. I wanted to learn how to build, and it is really fun and kind of addicting. So hopefully I still will have the time in the future to play more Minecraft because it's something I enjoy. There's a villager who has come into view, but yeah, I'm really excited to work more on this small town. Stop, don't do it. Whatever you're thinking of doing, Mr. Villager, don't do it. um thank you. So yeah, I'm really excited to work more on this seaside town, and it's not what I thought it would be like, but it's still really good. So yeah, thanks for watching, and goodbye.